the founder and president of B&R Computers. So every week we host webinars on different cybersecurity topics or IRS and FTC compliance requirements to help educate everyone on the industry and what's happening. So today's webinar is about HIPAA, PCI, and cyber insurance requirements and whether or not your business is compliant with those requirements. Obviously, there's a lot to it, but we strip it down and make it nice and short and just give you the main gist of the scenarios. So with that said, let's get started. So the problem is a lot of people think if they're not in healthcare or finance that they're fine. They don't need to be compliant. So compliance requirements apply far more broadly than most business owners realize, and ignorance is not a legal defense. Saying, "Oh, I didn't know I needed to be compliant." That's not a legal defense. If you're in business and you have a business that needs to be compliant, it's required that you're compliant. So for maximum HIPAA fine per violation category can be up to $100,000 per day. For every non-compliant PCI fine per cardholder per month is $50 to $90, meaning if you have credit card information for your clients and you're non-PCI compliant, you could be fined $50 to $90 per card per month for non-compliance. And then 40% of cyber insurance claims are denied for non-compliance. So that one pertains to every business because every business should have cyber insurance. So every business has cyber insurance, but up to 40% of those businesses, when they have a breach, their claim will be denied because they're not compliant. So what we're covering today, who must comply. So with HIPAA, PCI, and cyber insurance requirements, they apply more broadly than most owners realize. What each framework actually requires. So we're going to review the core requirements of HIPAA, PCI DSS, and cyber insurance policies, explained simply. The real cost of non-compliance. So you've got fines, denied claims, lawsuits, and lost contracts. That's what's actually at stake here. So compliance applies more broadly than you think. It's not just hospitals and banks. If you touch this information, the data below here, those compliance requirements apply to you. So HIPAA applies to your business if you handle patient health records, are a healthcare provider or clinic, process medical billing or claims, or are a vendor to a healthcare business, or also known as a business associate or vendor. PCI DSS applies to you if you accept credit or debit card payments, store, process, or transmit credit card data, use a point-of-sale system or online checkout, or you outsource payments but still touch card data. So as you can see, thinking, "Oh, well, I'm not a hospital, I don't need HIPAA." Well, there's quite a few other areas that need to be compliant. Or I'm not a bank, so I don't need to be PCI compliance. Well, it's a lot more broad than you might have expected. So the core requirements for each framework, there's a lot more to these three situations here, but these are the core requirements. So for HIPAA, they want you to have a written security policy, an annual risk assessment be performed to the business, access controls and encryption of the data that you're storing, breach notification plan. So when there's a breach, what is the process that your business handles to address the breach? And then employee training. So employees need to be consistently trained on what to look out for, phishing, emails, things like that. And it's got to be documented. That's the biggest thing. It's got to be documented that the employees were trained. And then for PCI DSS, they want you to have a secure network and firewalls, encrypted card data, access control by role, meaning whatever the employees' roles are in the business, they should only have access to what they need, not everything. Regular vulnerability scans of the environment, and then an incident response plan. All businesses really should have an incident response plan already, but PCI DSS requires that that's in place. Cyber insurance, they require multi-factor authentication on all systems. EDR slash endpoint protection on all systems. That's basically antivirus. I like to say it's an antivirus on steroids. It does a lot more than antivirus software does. And if you only have antivirus, that's not enough. Tested backup and recovery, documented security policy, and employee awareness training. So as you can see, the common theme here between cyber insurance and HIPAA is employees got to be trained. So the cyber insurance industry, they're looking for businesses to train their employees on what to look out for. Obviously, that lowers the risk to the insurance companies. So with being non-compliant, it's not just a fine. Oh, I'll just get a fine and I'll pay the fine, whatever. It's about the business. So fines are often the smallest part of a cost. Lost contracts, denied insurance claims do far more damage. So regulatory fines. So HIPAA can be up to $100,000 per violation category per year. PCI is $50 to $90 per cardholder per month. So again, that's usually the smallest cost. And then a denied insurance claim. So like I said before, 40% of cyber insurance claims are denied, frequently due to missing required security controls. So most insurance companies require, those things that I had mentioned previously, they require those things to be in place. If they're not in place and you have a breach and file a claim, it will be denied, and you will be paying the full breach cost. Lost contracts and clients. So many vendors and partners now require proof of compliance before signing or renewing. So imagine that you're a business, you're working with vendors, you've done so for years. Now all of a sudden they come to you and say, is your business compliant with, cybersecurity protocols or anything like that? And your answer is no, and they drop you. So this could impact the revenue, and it could compound. And then the last item here is lawsuits and legal exposure. So breach victims can sue your business directly. Non-compliance is used as evidence of negligence. So legal costs, we know how that goes. They add up fast. So, again, claiming ignorance, oh, I didn't know I needed to be compliant. That doesn't fly. That's not a legitimate reason to be non-compliant. And if you're a tax office or in an industry that has large amounts of client information, every one of those clients can sue you and your business if there's a breach. So compliance is not just a checkbox. It's the difference between surviving a breach and not surviving. The biggest thing here is compliance isn't a one-time thing. We can perform risk assessments and uncover all of the gaps. And then we can resolve those gaps, but it's not a one-time thing, because next week, next month, it's an ongoing target. So, we may fix things today, but tomorrow you're out of compliance again, unless it's an ongoing solution. So could your business be at risk, or could you pass the compliance audit today? Do you have a written, signed security policy that's been updated in the last 12 months? So most HIPAA and PCI audits, they require that this is the first document. If you during an audit, this will be the first document they ask for. Have you completed a documented risk assessment in the past year? Again, with HIPAA, it's required. Frequently required, and it's also frequently required by cyber insurers. If you're looking for cyber insurance, or if you're in a HIPAA compliant industry, you've got to have a risk assessment every year. Do you know whether your current security controls meet your cyber insurance policy's requirements? So if you don't know, if you've got unknown gaps, they're exactly what insurers use to deny claims. So like say that in the checklist that they give you, it says, do you have multi-factor authentication enabled on your emails and your critical business accounts? And you say yes, and then there's a breach, and you can't prove that yes, you had those controls in place, they're going to deny the claim. So it's better to confirm that you've got the things in place than just to check the box and move on. And then if a regulator or auditor asks tomorrow, could you prove compliance with documentation? A verbal assurance isn't proof. Auditors require paperwork. So again, that goes back to the idea, like one example is employee training. If you were doing phishing training and education to your employees on what to look out for, if you don't have it documented that you're doing it and that they've done it and have a signature, it didn't happen. HIPAA comes along or any other audit, and you don't have documentation, it didn't happen. So with all that said, one thing that we offer is a free 30-minute business risk review. There's a series of questions we go over. It can be a phone call, or it can be a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting. And we've got a series of questions we go through, and you answer those honestly. And at the end of it, we provide a summary of everything discussed, the potential gaps. And if you've got an IT provider, you take that information back to them, and they can help you resolve those gaps. If you do not have an IT provider, we would be more than happy to help you. But the 30-minute call is not an attempt to switch providers. It is just we're there to do the audit and review with you. And then from there, you can do with that information what you please. If you're interested in setting up your own review, you can go to the businessrisk.b&rcomputers.com and pick your date, pick your time, whatever works for you. And we would be happy to help you, do a review with you. And if you've got any questions or any other feedback, please give us a call, send us an email. We're always open to communication. We love to help. I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you learned something, and reach out if you need us. Thank you.